2 weeks. We waited 2 full weeks to get the conclusion to Arthur versus Lancelot, and this chapter did not disappoint. And I'm being completely honest, I was kind of like expecting to make a video on Lancelot between the weeks of these chapters being on break, but then I just stopped because everything just got jumbled up and it just wasn't a cohesive video in the end, so I just decided to drop it and just did my regular chapter reviews for last week. But this week we're back with our regularly scheduled 4 Knights of the Apocalypse chapter review, and my god, was this an awesome chapter. So much hype and build up, and I believe we have officially ended the Leonis arc with this chapter, save for like a aftermath chapter in the next week or two. But my god, was this a really awesome chapter. But with that all me fanboying and explaining stuff, let's hit that intro and get right into the video. So 4 Knights of the Apocalypse chapter 80 is currently out with the title King Arthur versus Lancelot. Now, if you can't tell by the volume of my voice, I am obviously hyped for this chapter. And this chapter is so hyped that instead of giving us like a regular cover page with just a random drawing or something really nice and cool, Nakaba decided to just make the cover page the image of Lancelot just stepping on Arthur as he is down, looking down at him, seemingly like he just beat him instantly. So we start this chapter off with Percival, Nazianz, and if you pay attention to the panel at the top right, Donnie and Gawain just being like, I don't believe what's going on. Tristan's just wondering why is someone that's out of the leagues of like Tristan, who was basically dominating the previous fight, is being taken down by Lancelot. As Tristan just kind of scoffs and laughs with a smile on his face, stating, it's only natural. Lancelot's ability is far beyond his own, which I said this last chapter review, but Tristan stated that Lancelot was stronger than him. We thought that it was him just being nice and just being more modest, that they were more even, and just Lancelot was just more strategic, and that's why he would, be considered stronger than him. But no, Tristan just flat out says that Lancelot's abilities are far beyond his own. And it may not seem it, but up until 6 years ago, when they were only 10, they were evenly matched. And Tristan just admits that it's pretty frustrating. Nazian's wondering what on earth happened to Lancelot for just 6 years for him to be just this powerful. Tristan goes on to say that Lancelot was spirited away from his home kingdom of Benwick, and that was 6 years ago. But he returned 3 years ago. Basically the same story that we heard back when we got the Jericho reveal. But Tristan goes on to state the added information that when Lancelot returned, he had new strength and magical power. But Lancelot would never speak of what happened to him. But his strength is now comparable to that of the legendary 7 deadly sins, which goes all the way back to the Sistana arc when Ironside was making chaos creatures from like the buildings and stuff like that when he was trying to use the Confidant of Eternal Darkness, and just all those creatures were like wiped out. And it was stated that the only people capable of doing so would be those on the level of the 7 deadly sins. So now 100% confirming Lancelot is on the level of the sins themselves at this point. So this is honestly really hype. Lancelot is stronger than I initially thought he would be, and this is something that I'm just really psyched about. Now, there's also one question. Is he stronger than Bond now? I'm getting that discussion going in the comments. Go ahead and talk about it. That'd be fun. And hell, this is actually a video in and of itself I might do during the next break or something. But we cut back straight to Lancelot and Arthur as Lancelot's just asking Arthur, you feel like using that right arm yet? As Arthur tries to swing his sword towards Lancelot as he dodges. But Arthur, after touching down and getting back up, states that he basically figured out Lancelot's little trick. That his main strength is reading minds. He's got a great and he goes on to list everything about him. That he's got great fighting strength, a great sense of fighting, good reaction speed, and he still falls short of Meliodas' level of power. But he compensates by blocking movements due to the fact that he's able to read minds and predict when Arthur is going to attack next. So yeah, I think we were all kind of expecting that the main reason he was able to avoid Arthur's attack so seamlessly and knock him down was primarily because of his mind reading abilities. But Tristan on the sideline cries out to Lancelot to finish him off now. He has to beat him right now. Lancelot calmly just tells Tristan to can it as he picks up a sword on the ground, stating that he's going to borrow a sword. As then Arthur begins to speed up towards Lancelot, and or more or less get some distance, but Lancelot picks up the sword and then uses his signature move, Shining Road, as he then hits Arthur point blank, like he did with Tristan and the Dark Talismans. Smoke envelops the area, but then the sword shatters, which honestly is something that we've come to expect. Lancelot was putting a lot of strain into that sword, and it seems to be like a plain sword, so it kind of makes sense that it would shatter. So he can't use Shining Road again unless he uses another blade. But then we hear a voice. What? You have fine talent. In which I believe that's Lancelot's reaction, the what, as Arthur states that he has fine talent. As he then gets punched in the air. And I like that there's this image in the middle of the page where Arthur, pay attention, his prosthetic arm came off. Arthur has the Chaos Eyes now. And Lancelot is launched into the air out of nowhere. Percival cries out for Lancelot as then see an image of a hand in the air above Lancelot, as it then smacks Lancelot right into the ground, with Meliodas jumping in once more to try and stop Arthur. But Meliodas is pushed back as well. And Meliodas brings up the fact, Arthur, wasn't your right arm a warning for your own naivete and weakness? As Arthur laughs and says, won't you let this slide? As he has the chaos look in his eyes, and the next page, we see his right arm has turned into a giant, nightmarish amalgamation of chaos creatures. As he goes on to say, chaos is only here to subconsciously protect me, its host. The death of its host would mean the loss of where it belongs. It has nothing to do with my will. It's like a will without will. That's why not even Lancelot could read its movements. So the power of chaos is literally it can literally protect Arthur from anything involving death right now to anything that's weaker than him at this point. So it's automatic. Arthur isn't using his right arm consciously. It's just his power is subconsciously protecting him so its host doesn't die. And I have to say, I really commend Nakaba for this whole image right here, because this is like nightmare inducing. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. But at least now we know Arthur is technically going all out now, because he's kind of using his chaos powers. But it goes to show that Arthur, not using any real abilities, is strong enough to fight off Meliodas. But Lancelot is, with his abilities, can actually knock him down and try and deal some damage. But Arthur can regenerate, so it's not really much of an issue at this point. Meliodas states, I knew I should have cut chaos away from you, no matter what would have happened. Harking back to the end of the Seven Deadly Sins with the final arc, so yeah, that goes to show for that. Percival and gang are questioning if this is an illusion or not, or if they're even dreaming. Lancelot gets back up, seemingly unscathed, as he says that this is pretty interesting, and stating that Arthur is finally taking things seriously. I just saw this one panel of Donnie just reacting to Lancelot being a badass. I feel like this is Donnie's role in the story, in terms of reacting to stuff when he's not fighting. I'm not mad. This is actually pretty funny. But Arthur looks over at Lancelot stating, well, so you're still alive. Do you understand now the difference between our abilities? As Lancelot says, took the words right out of my mouth. You don't underestimate me at all. As he taps his feet, spins around, and gets into a fighting stance with a magical aura surrounding him. As Arthur shudders from the force of it. Donnie's reacting, everyone's reacting to this that, wait, this power is very incredible. And Percival brings up the fact, wait, isn't Lancelot left-handed? And this fighting stance states that Lancelot is actually right-handed. So, Lancelot was kind of not going full out at this point, and he has such incredible power still latent within him. And I want to know what happened to him during that time when he was spirited away, because that explains this immense power. And Tristan states that if anybody can beat Arthur, it's Lance. He can beat him. But then something happens and something appears. The citizens look up into the sky, and we see a 2-page spread with the image of a giant flying ship in the air. As we see the Holy Knights reacting to it, Dreyfus recognizes who is on that ship. Camelot's Holy Knights of Chaos. And if I'm counting right, there's about, let's see, 3, 6, 8, about 9 knights up there. So if those are the Holy Knights of Chaos, that means those are Arthur's elite knights. And we see Ironside is among them, and I think Pelgard might be there as well. I'm not sure. But there is an image, if you pay close attention, Jericho is up there. In the far left corner, she's the only one not wearing a mask. So I think that Jericho kind of fits the features from what we know of. But Ironside calls out to King Arthur, stating, "Your Majesty, you've played around long enough. Please return at once." So yeah, while the knights obey him regardless, they are going to basically be his handlers, which I like. I like that Arthur's king can be kind of immature even as a king, and he kind of needs people around him to keep him in line. And that's a nice little touch. And Arthur's kind of like smiling and being like, "You came all the way from Camelot just to lecture me?" As Ironside continues to state, "A full-scale conflict here and now would be unwise. Your Majesty should know that more than anyone else." As Arthur agrees, stating that Dalflair, Benwick, the Fairy King's Forest. From these 3 places, I sense a powerful aggression, as these 3 panels showcase Gother, Bon, King, and Deanne getting ready to basically strike at Arthur. They're in a pretty good distance away, so yeah, I like it. I like the Sins sensed what was going on, and they were getting ready to strike. So this was awesome, I have to say. This got me so hyped, and we're gonna get to see the Sins pretty soon from what I can take it. And I just can't wait. But then we see the citizens thinking about what Arthur showed them a few chapters ago. A pretty quick cut to the town and where On is, as they're wondering, is Camelot real? Does it really exist? I want to go there, so do I, as On cries out to them, "What are you saying? They're the ones who attacked this country, remember?" And they're like, and she's stating, "And who do you think's protecting you? This country's holy knights. That's who." Ironside goes on to say, "If something happened to your Majesty, what would become of those living at the edge of Camelot?" As Arthur just retorts with saying, That's not a fair thing to say. Doesn't the same apply to you? Besides, I thought I gave you a particular mission, did I not?" As Ironside states, "Rest assured, if that is what concerns you, I have already reached my objective." As Arthur says, "Why didn't you say so?" "Alright, I'm coming back." Now, real quick before I move on, from Arthurian legend, Guinevere is basically the wife of Arthur and gets taken away by Lancelot. And if we go with what we've seen with Guinevere so far, this kind of implies that Ironside found Guinevere right away. Apparently, Guinevere was supposed to be gone tomorrow. So it seems that Arthur's arrival kind of sped things up, if Ironside is talking about Guinevere, which I kind of think he is. So Guinevere is already in enemy territory at this point, so I'm kind of curious, but yeah, that is what it is. But moving on, we then get a quick shock panel from Arthur, as we see Lancelot took no time of the distracted Arthur, and pierced his chest with his right arm, to Arthur's shock. The Holy Knights are concerned, but Ironside just says, "Prepare to return without delay." As Arthur goes on to say, "Sir Meliodas, I'll see you soon." As Arthur begins to disappear right in front of Lancelot with no actual wounds, as it appears he was teleporting himself away. He goes on to say, "Today yielded a better harvest than expected. Thanks to you, my awareness has changed greatly. When I learned of you 4 Knights of the Apocalypse," and as Arthur's disappearing, the ship's disappearing as well. Arthur keeps saying, "I thought of you as something to add some spice to my boring days. But here and today, I declare war. A war to hunt down all 4 Knights of the Apocalypse and their allies and eradicate them all, ending the chapter, with the next chapter being titled, The Battle is Over." So, another awesome chapter for 4 Knights of the Apocalypse as per usual. We got a full-on fight between Arthur and Lancelot, neither seemingly giving their all. Arthur's revealed that Chaos will just straight up protect him if it seems like he's about to take any fatal wounds, so it shows that Lancelot is strong enough to actually deal some damage to Arthur. We get more teases of Lancelot's whole time being spirited away in that other dimension, and how he just became so unrealistically stronger than he should have been. So that's just crazy to think about. A tease of the Sins getting ready to jump in. I would have loved to see that, all of them just showing up to fight off Arthur. That would have been awesome. But the way things ended, I'm still pretty happy with. And it still leaves things going for, like, Arthur still has a lot to show, so does Lancelot, and the rest of the knights have a lot of catching up to do in terms of the fight we just witnessed. And Arthur declaring war to hunt down and destroy all 4 Knights of the Apocalypse and their allies. So, I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. This was another really awesome chapter, and I just can't wait to see what happens next week. But with all that said and done, what do you guys think of this chapter? What do you think of Arthur's whole thing about chaos protecting him subconsciously? What do you think of the tease of the rest of the Sins getting ready to battle? Where do you think we're going to go next? Fairy King's Forest, Benwick? Or do you think we're just going to go somewhere completely new? And how do you think the Knights are going to catch up to Lancelot and, to that extent, Arthur and the rest of the Sins? Leave your thoughts, opinions, and theories down in the comments down below. I love reading them. You guys say some really nice things, and it kind of helps give me a broader perspective of these chapters and helps me when I miss any particular detail. But with all that said and done, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help. And it tells me that you guys want me to keep doing the 4 Knights content on this channel. But with all that done, I hope you all have an awesome day.